Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I want to say, hey, welcome to Promise Resource Network. This is Body, Mind, Spirit with me. I'm Jane, and you get a totally different background view. This is what I was talking about the other day, that the outside here is gorgeous. You just happened to see the construction part last time. So as you hop on and tune in, if you want to let me know that you're here. Otherwise, I'm going to hang out with everyone that's here in real life, and I will also acknowledge you when you make a comment as best I can. So we're all going to kind of settle in and connect. And we have a lot of background sounds today. Have you noticed that? There's a lot of like energy disturbances outside of me, right? That's happening. And it's coming in the form of like sound and smells and things that are pulling my attention, things that aren't going exactly the way I want them to go, although it's still all okay. But I'm noticing that that's been the day so far. So I'm curious, is anyone else having that sort of day today? Or is everybody like, no, everything's going like everything is perfect? Or are you witnessing the extra around?
I am.
You are?
I was more than my usual confused when I left the house this morning. Like, did I have this? Did I have that? Let me find this. It was just a little bit more chaos than I'm used to.
Yeah, I feel that. Yep, more chaos. Nothing bad.
No.
And still just more chaos, right? What about y'all?
It's hard to describe because yesterday was empowering for me, and the lower self is fighting it because I'm not used to it. So I'm trying to stay in the chi of or the home of positivity.
Yes. It's always a focus to stay in that center, to stay in that I am here with me and not let my ego or chaos or distractions or expectations or yesterday or tomorrow get in the way of where I am now. Because wherever I am now is where it's going to be like the prelude to where I'm going. But if I'm always like out here thinking about tomorrow or later on today, then I'm not going to get there fully present. I'm not going to be aware, the journey I'm not going to be aware of, right? Oh, hey, I want to say, my mother's joining us from Indiana.
Marv says hi.
Marv says hi. Good morning, Charles. It's good to see you all on here. How are you? Are you feeling the chaos around today? Are you all feeling chaos around today?
I'm actually focusing on my wellness more than anything else. I mean, it's there, and I know it's there, but I'm not using that as my focus. My focus is just being here, being with the people that I love, and experiencing the atmosphere that I love.
Yeah, that's awesome. Focusing on your wellness, like that's your anchor. Yes, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. So this is body, mind, spirit. So everything that we talk about is going to have a relationship with one or two, more than likely all three of those parts of us, because we're all three of those things. Like we just are. And I feel like so many times I can get in my head, or I'm too worried about my body, or I am like kind of dissociated from my body and I'm all in like spirit land. That was me when I was like really heavy into any addiction that I was in. It was like, I'm not even in my body. I'm fine. I'm fabulous. I don't know much right now, but bringing them all together, to me, that's like the biggest anchor, coming back to my breath, my body, an awareness. So that's the thoughts. I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm aware of the chaos, but they're not sucking me in to them. I'm aware that, there may have been some confusion this morning, and I was like double checking. Did I lock the door? I did lock the door. Wait, did I lock the door? I did lock the door. Wait, let me check one more time. Wait, what? And those types of things, and not letting that suck me in, just kind of going with the flow of that and not letting my mind take me down a rabbit hole. Not letting not letting my body react, like getting maybe anxious, and also being able to recognize if my body is showing or experiencing signs of anxiety. and being able to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to see that and feel that. And I'm going to breathe into that, and kind of calm it down. But rather like being able to just stay in that anchor of the wholeness. And that's kind of what I want to talk about and weave into everything today, is this coming back to this wholeness, this oneness as the anchor. So oftentimes in yoga, I teach about, just go back to your breath. As long as you're breathing, you're doing it. However you're breathing, I prefer you breathe a certain way, but I can't make anyone breathe a certain way. I can't make myself breathe a certain way all the time. So, Charles just said chaos is the word for the day. That's funny. And coming back to that, instead of going back to a certain type of a breath. Good morning. Instead of going back to a certain type of a breath, or instead of doing something outside of me to feel okay. Like, has anyone ever here had an addiction to anything? Okay, cool. So I'm not the only one. Yeah. So, and that was always my anchor. When I was feeling stressed out, when I was feeling anxious, or when I was feeling in a way that I didn't like, I would go to whatever it was I was addicted to, a food, a drug, a drink, a relationship, a behavior, self-harm, whatever, you name it. Like, it was what I did. And that was my anchor. So my anchor was this thing outside of myself that I would use so that I could feel okay again. Right? It's like, I'm stressed out. I can't find my anchor because I don't know how to remember that I am a body, a mind, and a spirit. So let me go reach for that cigarette. Let me go reach for that bottle. And okay, well, now I feel better. Okay. It is like that, right? And it's like, okay, well, now I feel better. And then the day comes where I can't get quite enough cigarettes or quite enough drinks or quite enough reflections from some human being to say, oh yeah, girl, you're so beautiful. So nothing was filling me and bringing back to that anchor of wholeness. It was never enough. So that, I think, removing those things outside of us that bring us to that anchor are false frequencies. They're false frequencies, right? The anchor of me is a true north. This is true north, right? This is my compass. Where my body and my mind and my spirit are, that's me in wholeness. So if I can use that as this true light, true north, anchor frequency, then when the chaos is around, I don't have to go to the false frequency, the false anchor, the thing outside of myself to make me feel better. Right? I feel like that's like, we know these things. So I kind of want to talk more about that. Charles says, being undistracted is the key. Tore up the trailer being distracted this morning. Ooh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. So I'm curious if anyone just wants to like pop out, what has been some of your false anchors?
My false anchors have been cocaine, alcohol, cigarettes. I know I've got more than that.
So we'll say those be the top three.
Top three.
Cocaine, cigarettes, alcohol. Anyone else?
Morning time is always a cigarette.
Cigarette,
Sometimes it's
beer.
They have quote unquote calibrate.
Uh-huh.
And then it becomes an all day thing, until you crash, or get enough rest, or someone even sometimes it could be a happy drinker and someone comes in and invades your space and you're raged.
You snap out.
That inner child comes out. It's like, leave me alone. You're triggering, they know how to trigger you, when you're not calibrated, by yourself.
Yeah. Alcohol.
So sometimes you don't even, I don't want to smoke a cigarette or drink. It's just, you're so used to waking up doing this routine, like having coffee or exercising or certain things. So it just becomes a thing.
I'm glad you mentioned that. remind me to go back to that. The going to those false anchors, the outside of source anchor, outside of self source, whatever, anchor, how it becomes just a habit, right? It just becomes a habit. You know, remind me to go back to that. Anyone else want to share some of your false anchors that you would go to like, oh, I feel better now that I did this, although temporary. Ah, yes.
What was it, John? I couldn't hear.
No, I cussing people out, telling them accusing them, like they accuse you of stuff you didn't do, you raise, you go off. I used to be like that. I used to like now I used to get mad. I used to get mad. I hold on to it. Instead of
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I didn't ask you because you didn't get here in the right time in the timeline. Is it okay if I say your name? Okay. So thank you for sharing that, Daniel. So like, you know, we've gotten these false anchors of like Charles is saying cake, warm bread, right? Cheeseburgers, like, right? Addiction. Like these are things that we can become addicted to. Alcohol, cocaine, cigarettes. And Daniel mentioned something that I just want to like really like dive into a little bit is anger.
I was
How-
just gonna say that's one.
Yes,
That's, one of mine.
that's yours too, Marv?
Anger and anxiety.
Yeah, anger and anxiety. We will go to habitual feelings and behaviors, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we're putting something in to recalibrate the anchor, but we're actually letting the dissonance out, and we yell. It's like, and then we just become the angry person. You know, well, now I'm just going to be the one that has this label of I have anxiety, or I have depression, or I'm lonely, you know, and we wear it like a badge, and we continue to just like let it out. It's like, well, I'm just going to always be mad, and now I'm going to, and unless I do that, I won't feel good. Unless I smoke that cigarette, I won't feel good. Unless I eat that cake and warm bread, I won't feel good. You know, because what happens is we do the thing and we feel good when we do it, right? When I'm yelling at the moment, I'm yelling, you know, if anyone's ever experienced anger, you blank. You actually leave your mind and your body. It's weird that we humans do that. Like I became really proficient at just blanking and being like, I don't even know what now you're gonna get mad at me because I don't know what now I'm gonna get mad again. You know? Anyway, I sidetracked on that one. But we do the thing and we feel a little bit better, right? I smoke the cigarette, and while I'm doing it, I feel better. While I'm yelling, I feel better. While I'm eating the food, I feel better. Well, then the cigarette's gone. The plate is empty, and whoever I'm yelling at is no longer there, and the can is empty. So now I'm just left with myself again, right? So now if I'm lucky, I've passed out on some level, right? I've passed out. And then I wake back up and I'm like, oh, okay, it's new again. Or I might still have that lingering frequency of, oh, shit. Oh, God, I did that thing again. And now I feel bad again. So what do? I look for the recalibrating anchor, the false anchor outside of me to recalibrate me now and do it again. And we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again.
With myself, when I get angry, okay, become the anger.
Oh, you become the anger when you get angry. Yes.
And I was an angry person from the time that I got out of the service because of how I was treated. So, but then people would tell me, well, you're this, okay? And I started wearing that label. But then I finally would realize that that's not me. I need to anchor myself a different way.
Yes. Yeah, we become these labels.
You know, I suffered from anger all my life, and I know you know that, and I know that I work with, I want to share on my anger. I've talked to God about my anger because my anger makes me feel bad. It does not make me feel good at all. I feel guilty. I feel like I was out of control. I feel like I hurt someone's feelings, and probably definitely not as intense as I made it. And it's a miracle for today, only for today, that with the help of other people, I have been, I just can't hardly say it, I've been able to pause when agitated. But it's not through me, it's through something outside of me or a spirit in me that allows me to do that. And every day I can do that, I'm grateful. And practice makes perfect. And I'll never be perfect. I'm still going to get pissed off. It's my nature. Because I've been angry about everything. If they sent me to Duke, I wouldn't be a drunk, you know. And anyway, I just wanted to say that. And I hate saying it out loud because I'm afraid it's going to be taken away from me. You know. But anger makes me hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's made me hurt all these years. And when something hurts you so much, I guess eventually, if you search enough and ask enough people for help, you're going to get an answer.
Yes. Yes.
To stop it.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
Me too. I'm really grateful that you just shared that.
Anger has been my nemesis.
Yes. And I think too, oftentimes when we have any type of addiction, whether it's letting the anger out or drinking or whatever, there's the payoff in it, because the anger is easier for us to deal with as a human being than the underlying sadness that is there, or fear, or pain, or trauma. Like whatever the underlying thing is, that is way harder for us to deal with. So what we do as a human is we take it up a notch. I'm talking about the energetic body here. We take it up a notch, and it expresses out as fear or anger or rage. Like that's where it comes out, right? It's like if you have a clogged drain, and no matter how much Drano you put in it, which I don't recommend because the earth doesn't like Drano. Anyway, sometimes you just have to get dirty, get in the stink, and pull out the clog yourself, right? So that's, and my mom shared that when her thing is that she goes into herself, so her anchor is going into yourself. So I think, thank you for sharing that, because that can be, I'm going to go into myself and get lost and not have a social life, right? Or I can go into myself, find that anchor, connect my body, my mind, and my spirit, and then come back out into the world, right? So you can see how anything can be a healthy or an unhealthy anchor. Like Curtis, you mentioned exercising, right? That's a great anchor, unless it becomes an addiction, right? Someone that's like, no, I can't hang out. I can't do anything. I got to go work out. I'm counting my calories. I can't do this. I got to go work out. I got to work out. I got to work out. And you're like, oh my God, you're not producing your own dopamine. You're only doing it because you're working out. Right? Because we go to these false anchors outside of ourselves to recalibrate when we are not producing enough. Here's just going to the body and mind part, because we're not producing enough natural endorphins. We're not producing enough natural dopamine. So we go outside of ourselves to take it or let it out. Because even when I'm yelling in anger or rage, I'm getting a lot of that endorphin rush. And then I'm kind of like floating afterward in this really weird place. And then sometimes taking this into another level, maybe some of y'all have experienced this like I have, you feel good. And then you start to be like, oh God, I shouldn't be feeling this good. I feel good because I let the anger out, but now I feel bad because I let the anger out. Oh, what's wrong with me? I feel good because I drank the beer and so now I'm not like in that anxious mind space, but now I feel bad because I drank that beer. So then it's this really interesting pattern and loop that we as humans do. So we know, and we've all had experiences with these false outside of self anchors to realign the body, the mind, and the spirit, right? Oh, I can't get my head right. Let me go call this person that I always call on because I'm dependent on them, right? I have a codependent relationship. Like we'll call these things out now, or my body hurts. That gives me another reason to take another one of those painkillers because I can't just be with the discomfort, right? Like, so all these things. So we know now with all this awareness, okay. So now my question is what other anchors can we kind of latch onto? We'll start with outside of ourselves, right? Because we'll go, the last kind of part is like, how can we like realign our own frequency? Because that's, I think, the true nature of like the core of it, but not everyone is there. So for anyone that's not at the point where they can recalibrate internally, what things outside of you that can you anchor onto to kind of bring you back in?
My sponsor.
Your sponsor. Someone that's like a neutral, loves you, wants to see you do well, and is probably going to reflect to you the truth.
Yeah. Or an
An AA meeting, yes. Support, community support.
community support. Yes,
You know,
that's what it is.
Yeah, it really is.
Uh-huh.
That's so huge. I think most people forget how powerful other humans are that aren't necessarily like your best friend or your lover or a parent, but just like human. Human who's been through the same thing. You've humaned too. Thanks for sharing that. What other things?
A guide.
A guide?
Yeah, and you became my guide.
Oh, thanks.
Remember what I was like when I came in?
I do.
I was totally into myself.
You were.
And I mean, I didn't really like it. I didn't care about anybody else or anything else. And the first time I met you, you said something that resonated with me so deep. I couldn't stop thinking about it. You said, wouldn't it be great to be like a child again and view the world with a blue and an awe? And I was thinking that all the time I was there. Then when on my way home, I'm at the bus stop, somebody walks in front of me, and the first thing that came to my mind, I'm not alone. I'm not, it's not all about me. And then the second thing I saw was some people across the street from the bus stop. They were having a good time together. They were laughing and talking and whatnot. The first thing that came to my mind then was, look at all the beautiful people. And that was my coming back.
Nice.
That is so
So
wonderful.
Love that.
You guided me back.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for that reflection. Thank you for seeing the world through that lens.
Getting outside of yourself, I think, is another one of those mirrors that you have to work at it. But that's fabulous.
Getting outside of yourself. It's interesting. It's like getting outside of yourself to go back in.
Yep.
You know, and really, I think for me, and tell me what y'all think. And I want to hear what y'all think is with the, anyway, you know what I mean. To get outside of myself is to see myself in others.
Mhm.
And to see others as me, you know, like, wow, you know, you human, I human. Your life is different than my life, but we both human, so our life is pretty similar. Ooh, wow, you know, and you've been in trauma and I've been in trauma, and they may not ever be the same trauma, but a trauma is still a total experience that does stuff to the body, the mind, and the spirit. And to start to see that in every like human that we come in contact with, not to see them in lack or in pain and suffering, but to just see them as like, you're on your path. I don't even know what your path is. I am too. Yay. You know? And then I think it starts to open up the ability to be in a frequency that allows community support, because now there's an attraction. You know, just an energetic attraction. Like there's a reason that the group of us are here right now. That we all decided to show up now to have this conversation today. I don't know why, but when I start to see things kind of from that hawk's perspective, it's like, oh, well, that's what the ancestors talked about when they were talking about seeing through the eyes of the condor. Okay. You know, Mama Jane says that she'll do meditation and prayer. So that's her anchor. What are some like healthy outside anchors?
I got 3. I've already told you.
Yes.
Music, meditation, and movement.
Music, meditation, and movement. Yes. What about y'all? Walking. Yes.
But he's do
Yes.
two at once.
Meditation and
Meditation
walking.
and movement.
Yes.
that's one.
It's a really great way to like just kind of like see things while you're moving through it. You know, it's like I'm still walking on this path and really just be in that. Yeah. What about you? Healthy anchors.
Well, I record my music, but outside of that, when people come to me with their stuff, and I can help them see and they can let others feel it, it makes me smile. I don't smile.
Nice.
But
No, it's not.
that was negative. But but honestly, like helping other people is my that's what I love. It can get overwhelming, especially when it's repetitive behavior and you feel like they're becoming vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Curtis shared, I don't know if you all could hear, he writes and creates music and being of service to others. You know, I feel like sometimes, like, if I can help someone out, just they need a friend, they need someone to help them move a thing. They had another breakup for this, for the 10th time this week, and sometimes it's repetitive and learning the boundaries, be like, you know what, actually, you're becoming codependent on me. So now I'm going to step away and that's going to be more of service. Right. And that space of being like, I'm of service to someone, just being altruistic. Whenever we're altruistic in nature, just being of service to be of service, we start to feel better. What about you, Ruth? What do you do to feel better?
I tried to talk out of this morning when I got up. I was like, depression was so bad. I was like, we watched TV, and I said, get your ass out and go. You enjoy going to, you've been waiting for all this time, and you can finally get together, you let that depression get in the way. You said, hell. I'm just glad I got it.
Me too. And I think that's the hardest part. Ruth shared that, just like today was her example of, she was feeling a lot of like just depression and was like, I don't want to go. And then she's like talking to herself, right? Like, no, but you want to go, but I don't want to go, but I want to go, but I don't want to go. And I'm sad about it. But yes, you want to go, you better go. Right. And that, yeah. Just get up. Yes. Right. Yeah. And that, I think that, and I just want to share, Mary says meditation and prayers along with walking as well. And I think that sometimes we just have to talk to ourselves and get real with ourselves. And not like sugarcoat this, like, oh, and not saying not all the time. Like, there are times when I need to talk to myself like, oh my God, Jane, oh, I feel you, girl. I feel your pain. I love you so much. I know you had a really shit day. Oh God, can you just take a break? Let me love you. Like sometimes I need to talk to me that way. I think we all need to talk to ourselves that way. And there are other times when it's like, stop doing this behavior because it is killing you. You deserve to be on this earth. You deserve to be in joy. You deserve to be in community. You deserve to have pleasure in your life, Jane. You deserve it because you're human, period. Now get your ass up and stop doing what you're doing or do what you need to do because you need to do it. And letting that voice be the anchor, right? Let that voice, it's like mama bear, like your own internal mama bear voice. Because maybe we didn't have a mama bear, like maybe your mom wasn't the one that was going to like shove the bully off of you and point at this kid and be like, get off my kid, yo. Maybe your mom wasn't available or she was just whatever, who knows? But it doesn't mean that we don't have that mama bear energy in us, that we don't have that like ferocious, loud anchor frequency to hit us upside our own head so that it's not that next drink or, oh, I smoked that pack of cigarettes again. Damn it, I said I wouldn't. You're right. Not let that be what hits us upside our head. the guilt that hits us upside our head or punches us in the stomach. Rather, let it be that voice that's just like, I don't care what your friends are doing. You're not doing that today because I love you. And that's you talking to you. Right?
My big one is there'd be a lot of times that I would tell myself, I'm not happy. I want to be happy. It took me a while to realize that. And then I found out that kind of like the saying for Christmas, it's better to give than receive. Well, I would tell myself, you want to be happy? Make somebody else happy.
Mm.
And you can't, I don't know anybody that can't be happy after they've made somebody else happy. It's just that feeling. It's just overwhelming.
Yes. You know, I love that you shared that. And I love the duality of life. I love that life itself is dualistic in nature, right? That this is going somewhere. That no matter what it is we're doing, there's going to be a positive and a negative. There's going to be, you can take exercising, right? Very neutral. And you could go way off the deep end where you were working out 10 times a day. Or you could go off this deep end where you don't move your body ever, right? So it doesn't matter what it is. There's a spectrum of behavior, of thoughts and actions and all that can take us down any path. And I think altruism can be that way. Being of service, being someone to bring the light, you know, to share something kind, whatever that is. I think that there's this beautiful middle ground of that. And it can also go to like, I am only living to be of service to others and I'm neglecting all that I am. Right? Now I am codependent on their reactions and respect. Or I go down the other end where it's no one cares about me, so I'm not going to care about anyone else. I'm only going to care about myself.
Yeah, that's a good.
Right?
The law of relativity.
Pardon?
The law of relativity.
What about the law of relativity?
It states no matter where I am, what I'm doing, someone's doing worse. Which is that's it isn't worded correctly, but in a sense, it's like you're not alone.
Yeah.
Or not to salt in how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not alone in it. It's like being here, most of the people, and just being here, it's comforting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I am not the only one going through this type of life experience. I may feel really alone. Like, I may feel really alone in it. But I'm not, because there are bajillions of people on the earth plane. And even if no one that's in a living body right now is going through my exact life experience, someone has before or they will after me. So in any way, shape, or form, we are not alone. Everything has a relationship. You know, everything I do is going to have a ripple energetic effect outside of myself, right? So every time I go outside of myself for a false anchor, right? I feel bad. I go to the bottle in this example, whatever your bottle is. I go to this bottle and then I feel better, but I don't, right? So I never healed this. I never realigned, right? So now I literally just spent my energy because it costs money to buy whatever's in that bottle. Some type of energy exchange. So I just fed someone else's pocket from my energy to numb, dull, and distract myself, to become an anchor because I don't have the tools to find it myself within. And then I'm feeding this whole system that wants to perpetuate me using their product. So they're going to keep, putting marketing and telling me that I'm only going to be happy if I use their products and those things. That's a whole other story about just how the patriarchal system is set up.
Drink responsibly.
Right. Yeah. Drink responsibly.
Just say no.
Yeah. Just say no. Yeah. It's like, really? Okay. Yeah. But we'll put all these billboards up that only show happy people drinking. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. They don't show anyone with like a fifth of something in their hand that's like waking up the next day, like disgusted and feeling bad. And they're like, drink responsibly. Like, they don't show that. It's funny how the marketing is, So does anyone here do yoga? Or have you ever done yoga?
I have probably would like to start.
Mhm.
I think you do a little bit here, so I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
try it again. I love to change my whole body.
Well, that it may be, yeah, I'm here on Wednesdays at 10.
Okay.
So do you feel like, for those of you that have experienced yoga asana, the movement, right? Do you think, did that feel like it was an anchor for you to come back to you?
Oh yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I do not want to not walk during the day. But there are some times when I don't feel like my neck gets real stiff and causing me. I end up having to walk like this, and I don't like that. But I use yoga to loosen my neck up, so it's not that way.
Yes.
And that brings me back. And okay, now I'm ready to start.
Now you're ready to walk again. So you got back to you. Okay, I love that. What about y'all?
I'm anxious, so I feel everything. So when I did yoga yesterday, it was refreshing. Like I said, I felt reborn. Really, I guess that was me because I think I became someone else for it. Like I said, the past 10 years is gone. I don't even know, I don't know who I used to be anymore. And it kind of reset me to my happiness and to I'm like being reborn again, like in an adult body, And it was refreshing. I'm kind of here. I'm still kind of like I just woke up again, And it's refreshing. It's revitalizing.
Nice.
I definitely recommend that to anyone. It's life changing, and it stretches you out in many ways, especially mentally. When you have that globe of the body, how you have the arms and the perspective. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It balances everything. My body and spirit.
Right? Yeah, yoga is a very body, mind, spirit activity. Like, you're doing it. Like, your mind can only go so far if you're trying to do something with your body that your body's like, well, this is weird. This is awkward. And then your breath, to me, breath is just a direct connection to spirit. It really is. I mean, spirit is, it's like the word inspiration is when we inhale, we inspire, we take a breath in. Inspiration is derived from spirit, right? Yeah. And whenever we're inspired, we usually do this. We take a breath in. We get filled with spirit when we breathe. And so that's one of the anchors. And I started this off at the top of the hour, that oftentimes I always go to the breath as the anchor. And I know for some, if anyone's had certain types of traumas, I want to say, hey to LaShonda. If you've had any trauma, sometimes the breath is not an easy anchor. Sometimes if many of us have held our breath, and that's been like our safety thing, and someone's telling you to breathe, you might actually cognitively not feel safe to breathe. The sound of breathing may be triggering for some. The sound of could actually be very upsetting for some people, and I get it. And I feel that there's a way to connect and anchor in with our own breath. So I would like to ask a question about breath. I want to see what Mary says. Mary says, marketing never shows the consequences of drinking, nor any addictions to alcohol, sweets, junk food, or the drugs of my choice. Same here. And I've done yoga before the pandemic. Well, hopefully you can come back. And LaShonda's tried yoga. Y'all, come here on Wednesdays at 10. If you want to do it in real life, or you can tune in. Anyway. So here's a question. I'm gonna guide y'all in this thing and just kind of feel into this, is this witness. And you all do the same, because I want to hear what you all think and feel. So if you want to close your eyes, you can. If not, you don't have to. You can just kind of soften your gaze and just like look down at the floor, your hands, your feet, whatever. And just don't like stare at someone just because it can just be awkward, So just notice your breath. Just notice your breathing pattern in this now moment. Become aware of the way it feels. Perhaps you notice the temperature of the air as it passes above your upper lip, or perhaps in your mouth or in your nostrils. Maybe you notice that you're not breathing much. And if you're not breathing much, I invite you to breathe in a bigger way to you. Does it mean that when you breathe, you envision the air flowing and filling up your entire lung cavity? Can you envision the air that you breathe in making its energetic waves all the way down to your feet and filling up your body? Do you imagine, or can you envision every exhale being something that brings you a new feeling, perhaps a feeling of peace, of clearing, of clarity, of presence? Perhaps with every inhale, you might feel like you're beginning anew. This is a new breath. This one can be fuller. Just being the witness to it without trying to force it to be anything other than spirit moving through you. And as you feel this inspiration, spirit moving through you, can you feel it anchor you in to your body? Can you feel it anchor your body securely and lovingly upon the earth? Can you feel how this breath of life flows through you and all beings upon the earth plane? The two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the plants, the earth herself. Can you feel how this breath moves throughout your body and lets your brain in its own awareness feel calm and clear? Do you notice the beating of your heart in your chest? And can you call on this awareness of your breath to be a new anchor? Whether it's a big conscious full breath in and out, or if it's just the steady rhythmic nature of what spirit does as it moves through you. So I invite you to take a big breath in and a big sigh out, however that looks and sounds to you. So I'll ask you, if you did that, how was that for an anchor? And while you type, for those of you that did that, how was that to become your anchor?
I'm going to try to put it, I have a morning thing, I do everybody does, and I'm going to try to put it at the beginning before I meditate. Because my mind wanders much. Oh my God.
Yes.
And so maybe if I do this, I'll already be starting to settle down, so to speak.
Yes. Robin just shared that she's wanting to try this now in her morning routine. That would be the prelude right before she goes into meditation to kind of start to calm the mind. And yes, in yoga practice, there are different stages to get to meditation. The whole yoga practice is so that we can, the whole like yoga asana, the movement is so that we can sit in meditation. It's preparing the body to be in meditation. So the breath actually is before that. So that's perfect. I highly encourage that. I'm so glad you got that inspired idea. What about everybody else?
I felt guilt
You felt guilt.
because of the years of abuse and currently what I put in my body, that I'm shortness of breath than what I used to be. I used to be athletic, more active, and as I wake up with depression, my breath, it takes my breath away.
Mm-hmm.
And that state where she said how my mind is racing, all that takes away from my breath, my breathing, mind racing, the depression, the guilt, the cigarettes definitely. And then you feel your heartbeat and it triggers your anxiety, and it starts this whole, what we spoke before. But it's not guilt like in a bad way. It's guilt like, yo, we can fix this. And it makes you want to breathe. That's what I feel.
Nice. Thank you for feeling that. It's not the most comfortable to feel that awareness when it's kind of like that guilt and that feeling of like, damn, I've been doing this. And it's really messed up because so many of us, no matter where you are, you're doing better than you were yesterday. You learned something. So we're all doing better. And so it's really great so often when I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing so much better. Like I'm not addicted to this, that, and the other anymore. Awesome, right? And then when I realize like, oh shit, but I'm still addicted to that and I didn't even realize it. I'm addicted to this behavior or this relationship, or I still have this space where I could take better care of myself. And there's this part of me that I feel like, oh. And then if I let that mama bear voice come and be like, you got this, you deserve to feel well. You know, you can put down those cigarettes. You know, you want to drink more water. Start doing these breathing exercises because I'm with you, because I am the spirit of you in this moment. I always am. And then we start to use that breath as the anchor and a means to get clarity, right? It's a means to get clarity. It sounds like there was a clarity that came in, you know, and to me, that's spirit talking to us. That's our higher self saying, hey, hello, you in there, McFly. Charles says it was all right. Okay. I'm glad it was all right. I don't know if that's like a woohoo or if it was like, all right. It's funny how typing, we never know. Inflection, I'm sure it wasn't me. Anyway, would anyone else, how was the breath anchoring for you?
Well, while I was doing it, it reminded me that a deep breath is a natural thing. What happens when somebody startles you? What do? You take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
If your day's starting to go downhill, what do? You take a deep breath. It's a natural thing. Right? But I'm beginning to realize that I need to do it not just once, but keep it up for a few minutes.
Yes, that's huge. Not just doing the one deep breath, which is huge in anchoring in itself. Like sometimes if I'm just like, I'm feeling it, I'm feeling that anger because somebody cut me off again, or someone assumed that I am still addicted. Someone is still seeing me with the labels. That is what gets me. Someone still looks at me as being this like extremely angry, aggressive person. That creates me to, it's funny because then I start to feel angry and aggressive. And because so then I'm like mad at myself that like they kind of prove me right by seeing that part of me. And so I'll take that one deep breath and then that gets me by. It gets me by. But if I take two of them, if I set a timer for like a minute and just start with those big breaths, and they'll start to calm down to not being so big, but it starts to taper off, then I can't even be mad at them or me or any, like it just all goes away. So I'm glad you mentioned the breath and the big breath and how we can use that. What about you?
When I get it, I thought about all the stuff that happened to me in my past life and stuff like that, issues and stuff like that.
Do you feel like that brought up spaces for like clarity and for you to like have more love and compassion for yourself? Yeah. Thank you for that, for sharing that and experiencing that, because I feel oftentimes when we allow ourselves to just be with ourselves, especially for me, when I remember that is spirit moving through me with every breath, there's something really potent to that. So that when all those things do come up, that like, man, you know what? I was abandoned. I was emotionally abused and neglected. And I was this and I was that. These are my experiences. That because I feel like I am spirit and spirit is with me and the I am is always there, then it allows it to become witnessed from a more loving, neutral, safe lens. You know, instead of it being that bird's eye lens, it's the lens of the heart, you know? And that's where I think we truly heal, because then we just anchored not just into our breath, but we anchored back into our heart, which is the source of all that is. It's the infinite well. You know, it's the apex of our energy system. Mary says, one of the chief benefits of yoga is to help me calm down from breaking away from being so high strung. I still need to let go. I'm still learning to relax instead of feeling that I need to keep up with other people. The breath, I think, slows that down. You know, it's like, if I'm going to take the time to just anchor back into me, then it's like, oh, my timing is fine because it's now. I don't have to go run and go do this thing because time is on my side, because it's now. It's always now. And when I'm in that present moment, which is another anchor, which breath brings us into presence, then I am so aware of this now moment that my call to do the addictive behavior isn't as loud. Because if I'm really present, like, check this out. Y'all check this out. Try this too. So when I say get present into now, okay. And we're already really present into now. Like, we're all here, right? But like, is anyone thinking just a little bit about like, what time is it and like what you need to do after this? Right? Okay. And is anyone here thinking about like anything from like 10 minutes ago, from something I said a minute ago, to the horn that honked 20 seconds ago, anything yesterday, anything, right? So there are parts of us that are outside of now. Okay. So come into this now moment. Okay. Be aware of everything that is around you in this now, that your perception can only go so far. Now, you know that there's a rest of a country around us and a rest of an earth, but you can't see it and you can't sense it. So we're just going to start to bring it in. We know that we're on a city block. You're in your house, wherever, you're in your car, not driving. But you can't see it, you can't sense it. So you're going to start to bring it in. So now we know we're on this block, but now we're on this property, right? We are on this property. Beyond this is beyond us. They're in their own timelines, right? They're traveling and moving about. So now we're on this property. So now we're in this seat. Everything that is in any moment happening is in the seat that you are currently in. Everything else is just a hologram, an illusion of all the things that are outside of you. So now it's just you in this now moment. There's just you in this now moment. Nothing's ever happened before this now. It's literally just a memory. It's not real. You can begin to explain it, but then you start to lose the reality of it as soon as you explain it, because you're still just now talking about something that no longer is. Thinking about anything beyond this now, it's just a figment of an imagination. Nothing beyond this now has ever happened. I don't know what I'm going to say. You don't know what you're going to say. You just trust that you're going to keep breathing and your heart's still going to be beating, because the only thing that's happening is now. And in this now moment, you are safe. You are held. You are supported. You are loved. You are healthy. You are well. You are anchored. The earth is holding on to you with unconditional love in this now moment. There's nothing beyond this now. This now moment. Take a breath in. Let it go. You couldn't think about anything else other than now. We got more and more now the more you thought about now. Oh God, it's just now. Time is an illusion. It's all now. It's just now. It's just now. It's just now. Was anyone thinking about or having a desire to go smoke a cigarette? Or to do anything? Like, there was nothing else. What did you all experience just then? I'm very curious. So we can anchor in whenever we're having any kind of chaos, any kind of desire or an itch, a trigger, a reaction, a disappointment, an expectation that just failed to be met again and again and again. You always have you. I always have me. I'm the one thing that won't leave me. My spirit is the one thing that won't leave me. My breath is the one thing that I have always had with me. And not only is it the thing that I always will have with me, it's the same breath that all the ancestors have breathed. And that as I continue to breathe, I'm breathing for the future. So all of my present moment in with me, with this body, with this mind, with this spirit is truly a gift. As long as I'm not beating myself up for it and judging it and dulling myself from the full experience of having all this that I am, with all this shit that I've lived and all this unknown out in front of me, that this now moment is the gift. And we can always anchor back into the true frequency of the self, the I am self, not the ego self, right? But the I am self. I'm curious if anyone has any experiences. Thank you. Good afternoon or good noon, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm like, I don't know. Good now. Good now. That's why I didn't know. Good now. Good now to you.
What was your topic?
We are talking about anchoring into true frequencies. Would you say that the topic for the day? Breathing, anchoring in,
Breathing.
breathing.
Yeah, breathing, letting go,
Anchoring.
Yeah,
Anchoring,
yeah.
You did that.
Anchoring, yeah, anchoring back in.
Well,
We never really got an explanation of what you mean by anchoring. Like, I get it because we're describing it. So
Yes.
the whole, but the actual term and how to branch off of it.
So thank you for
I'm
asking
not
that.
thinking about it like grounding.
Yeah, coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. It was asked like, what do I mean when I say anchor? And, oftentimes, oh, you're good. Oftentimes, like, we lose ourselves, right? We lose ourselves. We get too in the mind, or I become ungrounded. I haven't gotten in nature in a while. Like, I feel disconnected. I feel unwhole. I feel unheard, unseen, unloved. I don't feel held. I feel alone. And when we feel alone, sometimes it feels like you're like floating in the ocean by yourself. And you're like, can anybody just come up to me and like scoop me up or get a boat or something? So anchoring just kind of stops that sloshing around, floating around, feeling. And when we're feeling that, that's when we grab onto the cigarette, right? Or we grab onto the bottle, or we grab onto the partner that we're codependent with, right? We grab onto something to feel better. So anchoring in this way, in this new way with our breath and a present moment awareness, nothing needs to save us anymore. Because we just saved ourselves. And when I save myself, then I can be more of service, right? If I'm drowning and Ruth jumps in to save me, I might bring her down with me. But if Ruth comes in and she's got her floaties on and her scuba gear or whatever, right? And she's been training with her breath and her body and her movement, and I'm drowning, she can easily know how to grab me and hold me in to take me to safety, right? So we are these systems where, instead of blowing up the floaty arms, we blow up our lungs. We come back to now. We anchor back in. One last anchoring technique that I just want to share before we close, and I just want to read what Mary and Charles shared. Another great way to anchor is to take your shoes and socks off and stand on the earth. Get your feet on the earth and just be. And if you be in that now moment with your breath, that presence on the earth, you are hitting this anchoring from the trifold space. You're anchoring in down, you're anchoring in up, and you're anchoring in out. So you're hitting all the dimensions of our energy field when you do that. And nobody's going to want to crack open a beer when you're that connected to everything else that's bigger than what can come in a can or in a wrapper, Mary says, I'm still learning to relax instead of feeling that I need to keep. Oh, I already read that. My bad. Charles says, it's sunny in this yard. I was thinking a drink of water would be excellent about now.
We agree.
So listening to your body, right? So we hear our needs sometimes when we anchor in. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm hungry. Sometimes we anchor in and we think, oh, wow, I overate.
Uh-huh.
You know, so it's a really good way to recalibrate and come back to yourself. So I'm going to say bye to y'all. I'm going to close here in a second. I'm going to close here first. So thank you all so much for being here and participating. Any feedback that I can get to make this more accessible and accessible and supportive, please let me know. We're looking into like microphones for people that are participating. If that's something that you think would be helpful, please let me know. You can send me a private message, or you can send an email to Promise Resource Network, and you can go on their website for all of that, so that we can all make sure that we all are really staying more connected as much as we can, because I really like being able to have this virtual and this in real life. If you are in the Charlotte area, please remember that you can come by. We're at 2224 The Plaza. And I'm here, Body, Mind, Spirits at 10. And then at 11:30, we're doing something creative. Tuesday nights at 6 is expansion. So you get your PM 11. So write your calendars, mark them down, and all the things. And until then, know that you are loved. And I'll see you later. Okay.